Hello everybody. I just wanted to make a quick video to show how I was able to buy a home and using $100 of my own money. I was able to make a $7,348 profit. This home is 20 minutes away from my house. I didn't have to drive 3 states away or 5 hours away. I also wanted to show everyone that even in this hot market, there are still plenty of great deals out there to be had. We had a person to get up in one of our RIA meetings last week, and a quite experienced fella, and he just got up and said, well, we're just focusing on houses 200,000 and 300,000 plus to flip. There's just not any more low-end houses to be had out here. Boy, was he mistaken about that, and I'm going to prove it to you here in just a few minutes. But anyway, I want to get to this this case study right here, 3665 Yale Avenue in Winston-Salem. It is about 20 minutes from my own personal house. The problem, Mrs. Kennedy suddenly became the executor of her brother's estate when he died, Miss Suddenly. And she was given the task of selling all of his assets and distributing the proceeds to 8 siblings. I think I went back and looked at the paperwork. It's actually about 10, including herself. So it was a big undertaking. And this is just one of the many of situations that people have problems and they need someone to solve them. And you can be that person. Not sure what to do about her brother's home. She contacted me and asked if I would be willing to buy the home quick, since she lived in Granite Falls, and that's about 2.5 hours from Winston-Salem. So you can see what a challenge this was for her. Not only was she thrust in this position, being executor and being responsible for distributing her brother's assets, and she had to deal with it over 2.5 hours away. Now, when I met with Miss Kennedy, she initially wanted $25,000 cash for the home. And of course, I always say, well, how did you come up with that figure? And she said, well, it's what my family thought it was worth. And you'll hear a lot of people, they'll say tax value, they'll say anything. Come up with a number of ways they arrived at it, but they don't always arrive at it at the right way. After some negotiating with her, she agreed to sell me the house for $15,000 cash, which is about 40% less than what she initially wanted for the home. And I signed a contract with her for $100 earnest money. And basically what I did is I gained control of the property with her consent. I can occupy the property if I want to. I can enter the premises. I can make improvements. About the only thing I cannot do is devaluate the property. I can't tear it up. I've got to leave it intact. But basically, I can market the property. I could also put it under another contract to sell. Have complete control with just $100. And you can do the same with my techniques. I immediately began to market the property. And believe it or not, I had under contract less than 12 days for $23,000. And folks, I'm not talking about spending a lot of money in marketing. I think my total marketing budget for this property was around about $15 to $18. And that's what the results brought me. The new buyer gave me $2,000 in non-refundable earnest money. This is very important. You want to weed out the people that are just tire kicking. And the reason is, on these low-end houses, you're going to get a ton of calls of people saying, well, I want to buy, I want to buy, I want to buy. That's fine. Show me the money. And if they can't come up with at least $1,000 to $2,000 of earnest money, you don't want to waste your time with them. Especially if they're going to say, well, I'm going to pay cash for this house. If they say they got $23,000 and they can't give you $1,000 to hold it, you just need to move on to the next buyer. And the takeaway from this deal is after negotiating the deal, like I said before, I was able to gain full control of the house for only $100. And you have to control something to make money off of it. 12 days later, I gained $1,900 in positive cash. I gave the seller $100. The new buyer came in and gave me $2,000. I'm $1,900 ahead, and I have done very, very little work, very little effort. A few weeks later, with the help of my attorney, we did a back-to-back closing, netting me $8,000 less than closing costs, which netted me $73.48. I'll show you why I decided to do a back-to-back closing, and instead of just a signing like here, I could have used the assignment clause, which is in my contract, and just sold my position, therefore having only one closing, and it wouldn't require me to have any transactional funding. In other words, if you do a back-to-back closing, you have to buy the home first before you can sell it, which means you've got to come up with the proceeds to purchase the home. That's called transactional funding. And I also lend money for transactional funding. You don't have to worry about having any money or very little money. I could either partner with you, or you can come up with a certain percentage down, and I'll fund you the rest. That's one way to do the deal, or you can just assign it, and you don't need any money at all. You don't need my help. You can just do one simple closing, but there are certain situations where you want to do a back-to-back, and there are certain situations where you just want to flat out assign it. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of this house. As you can see, the roof's about to fall down or cave in. You can see the paint on the trim is weathered away. It's actually rotted. All the windows are rotted in this house, the casings and all. There were some good things about this house. It did have some good hardwood flooring in it in certain areas, but basically this home just needed a total full rehab. And here in the kitchen, at the back door, you can see, if you look at the bottom real close, you see duct tape on the bottom of the door with some mold. Here's another bedroom where you can see some mold and mildew on the walls. Here's the bathroom. I never set foot in this bathroom because all you would have to do is go in there and jump up and down twice, and your feet would probably land in the crawl space due to water seepage over the years from the toilet and the bathtub. It was just completely rotted out. There's another picture of another bedroom. Got some mold and mildew in it. But I just wanted to show you these properties and show you this particular property. And I also want to go in and show you the meat and potatoes of this deal. And what I'm really big on is HUD statements. Don't know if you're familiar with a HUD statement, but you should download it, download some examples, and actually work one with a calculator. It's really, especially cash deals now, they're still using this. I prefer it. It shows where all the money goes, coming and going. Here you'll see the seller, Pensko Trust Company, custodian, FBO. That stands for the benefit of me, Larry Watson, IRA. This is the reason I did a back-to-back closing. My Roth, I actually bought this house, or my Roth actually bought this house for me using my funds. And therefore, I had to turn around and sell it within my Roth to able to defer the gain. I paid no taxes buying this home. As you can see, here's the property address. Here's the date, May 18th, 2017. And here's the contract sales price. There's $15,000. Scroll down here. You'll see my deposit or earnest money. I put $100 earnest money down. I got credited for that. And I'm not going to go through all these figures and everything, but basically it just goes through the credits and the debits and shows where all the money is going. Now, I'm going to show you on what we did exactly 30 minutes later. I turned around or basically my Roth turned around and sold this property to this young lady here before my Roth IRA was basically the buyer was over here. Now it's over here as the seller. This is a cash transaction, same date, about 30 minutes later. Contract sales price $23,000, and here's the $2,000 she gets credit that I had to bring back to the table that she paid as a non-refundable earnest money. And there again, I won't go through all these because I want to make this as simple as possible, but it's a HUD statement. I'd really encourage you to look over the HUD. And oh yeah, here's another what I call zombie house. They say location, location, location. Well, this is in Aruba. I took this picture. My wife and I, we took our vacation as we do every year there, and just thought it was interesting to take a picture of the window. See, you got an ocean view, literally. But talk about location. You've literally got the worst house in the best location. That's probably an ideal property to find. But anyway, I always make a little profit sheet here, summary. As you can see, I purchased the house for $15,000 on May 8th. I turned around and sold it the same day for $23,000. Had a gross profit of $8,000. My closing cost when I bought it was $506. 30 minutes later, I sold it. My closing cost was $146. You take those two figures away from $8,000, that's $7,348. My total time in this deal was about 5 hours. It's about $1,400 an hour. And folks, you can do this just as easy as I can. If you just did one deal a month, let's just talk some brief figures here. You take 7,000 times 12, that's $84,000. I don't know who in the world would not take a part-time job to make $84,000. But let's say you don't market as hard. Let's say you just want to do it really, really part-time. Let's divide that into two. That's $42,000 a year if you just did one of these every other month. And folks, there is more out here than you can get your hands on. You just got to know how to market to people. You got to know what you're doing, and you just have a willingness to help others. If you have any questions, feel free. My website, www.larrygwatson.com. It's got all my contact information on there. I provide everyone with a free 30-minute consultation, explain about what I do and how I help people. I love jump-starting people's careers, especially if they do not have no experience, and you don't need any to do this. I can have you up and running in a minimal amount of time. And you can be doing the same thing that I'm doing right here. But thank you very much, and I wish you guys the best of luck.